All right, welcome into the show today. I'm joined today by the Pitmaster from Redbeard's Barbecue, Mr. Tyler Price. Tyler, thanks for joining us on the Barbecue for Newbies podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So Tyler actually reached out to me. I think we're connected on Facebook, and I love his moxie, his tenacity. And he said, "Hey, I want to be on your show." And I said, "Let's do it." So here we are. One of the things I always like to touch on, though, when we talk about competition barbecue, really when we talk about barbecue, right, is the journey. The journey. I'm always curious as to somebody's journey into barbecue. So that's where we're going to start the conversation today for folks. So tell us, Tyler, what's your journey like? What was your journey like into competition barbecue?
So I kind of got into barbecue at around the age 15, believe it or not. I bought a small little Weber from Walmart for like $30. And, I just started YouTubing, finding out what the temperatures are, kind of getting a feel of what kind of seasonings to use. And over the years, I just progressively got more into it. And last year, I just seen posts about competition barbecue, which I didn't even was a thing until a few years ago. And people were just complimenting my food and telling me how good it was. So I was like, okay, I want to actually have someone who's going to be brutally honest with me, tell me how good my food actually is. And I knew, the judges would do that, whereas family and friends can kind of, be a little nice about it. So
That's right.
the first competition I was going to get into was the Pigs and Peaches and Kennesaw. I actually ended up not getting to do that one because my work, I got called onto a storm because I do line work full time. I'm a lineman. And so I missed out on that one. And the next one was the Sippin' Swine. So I signed up for it. And I did not realize how big that was. So when I got there, I was instantly intimidated by the amount of people that were there and just the rigs that were pulling up. And it was very intimidating. But, we went out there, we gave it our best, and we did surprisingly well. And that one for the backyard, we got 11th place in chicken, 13th place in ribs, and 27th in pork. And we kind of bombed that one.
But now you say we, do you have a team or are you a solo cooker?
So it's just me and my wife.
Awesome. So you jumped in literally. I think the Sippin' Swine is the largest KCBS competition in Georgia. I think it might be. Don't quote me on that, but it's pretty close.
Big.
So you jumped in, which I love, and you started in the backyard division, which again, for our listeners, in KCBS world, backyard is basically everything on the pro side, with the exception of in backyard, you're not going to cook brisket, which means your entry costs is lower, which also means the prize money is lower as well. So anyway, it's a great way to get into it, get into the sport, the competitive nature of barbecue. So that means that because the Sippin' Swine is in March, correct?
Yes.
So that means that you've basically been competing for about 4 months.
Yes, and we have since done the Sippin' Swine, Calhoun Boogie and Blues. We did a unsanctioned event in Adairsville, and we did the Honeybee Festival, and our next one actually is the Pigs and Peaches, the one I messed up on last year. But
that's right.
Here we're just kind of doing the GBC events this year, just to get our feet wet and to see how everything goes. And so far, we have enjoyed it.
That's exactly right. And I would say this is, it seems like a recurring theme in a lot of our episodes as we're chatting with fellow pitmasters, no matter where they are in their journey. But the theme I continue to hear is just jump in and do it, right?
Yes.
Have some courage, just get in there and cook. And I love that you literally signed up for, again, I think it's the biggest KCBS competition in Georgia. And, you could have easily packed up your stuff and gone home, but you didn't. You stuck it out. And so that's the message there, I think, for anybody that's wanting to get into competition barbecue is literally just do it. Just do it.
Yes. You'll
now,
be intimidated, that's for sure. But it did nothing but kind of motivated me to do a little bit better.
That's exactly right. Now, how do you stay sharp? Are you practicing at home? Are you just cooking whenever you can? I mean, how are you staying sharp and on top of things?
So for me, my work schedule is super crazy. I stay busy a lot, and for me, I try my best to do at least one practice cook a month. And when I say practice cook, I mean it's like it's competition day. So I box, I cook the exact way I would in competition. I wake up early and I follow turn-in times. So that's kind of how I do it. I know some people may do it differently, but I find practicing like it's competition day just it kind of keeps you on your feet.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we had Pitmaster from Maya Jane Barbecue on the show a couple episodes ago, and he said a great quote. Mark Wetherell is his name, but yes. He said, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And I don't think he came up with that quote, but I thought it was a pretty neat quote and very relevant to just it's like anything else. It's like learning how to play basketball, baseball, football, any other kind of sport, you gotta practice and you gotta work at it. And, you may have seen this, but the teams that tend to do very well are the teams that are cooking a lot.
Yes. And I actually forgot to mention, I know Maya Jane, Mark Witterall. 2 weeks prior to the Sipping Swine, I completely forgot about it. I did a GBC cook school, which gave me a extreme amount of confidence for the Sipping Swine. And it's just like a knowledge overload from that class. Mm-hmm. That is something I would definitely recommend anyone who's looking to get into it. It's fairly affordable, and you just get like a ton of information from it, and from some of the best, really. Maya Jane actually taught the chicken in that class, and with some of his tips and tricks, I have done very well in chicken in every competition, top 10 every competition since the Sipping Swine. And Calhoun, I've won first place in chicken.
Awesome. I love that.
It's all thanks to, that cook school, which gave me a lot of information.
I'm glad you brought that up because you hit the nail right on the head. Signing up for a cook school, yes, it is a financial investment. It's a time investment. It's extremely worth it. Some might say I've done too many cook schools. I think I've done 3 or 4. But you are able to learn the techniques. You're able to build relationships too. And I think that's something that I really enjoy about it is the people that you meet, the barbecue family, right? Is really, really a cool group of people. And I'm curious, what's been your experience? You're pretty much brand new to this, 4 months in. Have you been pretty well received by the barbecue family thus far?
I will say definitely yes. I have reached out to many of the guys on the pro division, and they are more than willing to help with tips and tricks. And that is something, like you said, building the relationships from the cook school. I was able to get contact information from some of the guys, and they, like I said, any questions I may have, or any tips or advice on what I could do differently, they are more than willing to help. And the same with the backyard. There's guys on the backyard side who could go against some of the guys on the pro side easily, and everyone's just more than willing to help. There's being new to the competition world. When I got to my first competition at Sip and Swine, there was stuff I just completely forgot to even bring, and the people around me were more than willing to let me borrow stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's the cool thing about it. If you do get into competition barbecue, whether backyard, pro, or even just doing some non-sanctioned stuff, you'll find that most people are very willing to help, very willing to provide tips and insight, which is I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really a neat way to have a community, to build that community, and then to really get newer people into the competition barbecue. Because let's face it, I'm 39 years old. I don't know how old you are, but we're fairly on the younger end, I think, of competition teams, and so we need that influx of young teams into the mix to shake things up and think outside the box a little bit. So, all right. So one question I always love to ask is, what's your favorite meat to cook? Doesn't have to be competition, just in general.
That's a tough one. I think the most exciting thing I like to cook would probably, I'd have to say, either chicken or turkey, because I don't know why. I just hear everyone say that's the thing they struggle with the most, cooking wise, smoking wise. And I have always done great with it. And it's just something, I guess, over time I wouldn't say mastered, but I have gotten very good at. And I can turn out chicken and turkey very well and get a good amount of compliments from it. And it's just something I like teaching family and friends. So I enjoy doing that the most.
It's a great point. It's a good thing to I like your strategy. Focus on the item that a lot of people struggle with and own that, and then move on to the quote unquote easier items, right? Now, when you're, I guess, paint us a picture, because I know you're relatively new to this. What's your setup look like? What are you cooking with? Are you drums? Are you offset? Are you gravity feed? I mean, what's your setup look like?
Gotcha. So my current setup, which I have been rolling with from the beginning, is I have a Bubba Grills 250R trailer smoker, and I have a Rectech 590 on the back side of it. Then I recently got a Kamado style smoker that I've added to the arsenal. It's an Acorn Kamado smoker. Sure. And that's my current setup. I have been really interested in looking into the drums. It's just this is a really expensive hobby, and the drums are you can't just have one. So that's why I haven't made the jump on those yet.
Yep, you're exactly right. It seems like a lot of the guys that do cook on drums, they're cooking on 3 or 4 different drums.
They're
and
like
it is
$100 a piece.
They are, so, but it's funny because I know there's a lot of debate, there's a lot of, sometimes maybe it gets a little rowdy, but there's a lot of good spirited debate around, the best cooker, the best smoker, the best grill. And I think there's way too much attention paid to that. I think that you just need to pay attention to the cooker that you have. Yeah. and knowing how to use that, because you made a great point earlier and you said, it is an expensive hobby. And I can tell you from, personal experience, I got wrapped up in oh, that smoker looks a lot cooler than mine. I want that one. And, so-and-so is doing really well on this type of smoker, and he's doing well on the drums. And you can kind of get what I call analysis paralysis, right? Where you just, you become a jack of all trades and a master of none.
And see, that's what I was talking about earlier with intimidation. When we pulled up the Sipping Swine, the people around us were pulling up in RVs and pulling up in tractor trailers with these 40-foot food trailers and $10,000 smokers, and I'm like, my God, what did I get into? And I'm pulling up, with tents and pull behind smoker. Like you said, it's easy to get caught up in the flashy items, but I have noticed in just a little bit of time I've been doing it, it doesn't matter what you're cooking on. It's your skills as a pitmaster and what you get out of it, what you put in it. And I've learned that very quickly. If you do what you know to do best, you'll do fairly well. I've seen guys just pull up with Weber Smoky Mountains and win reserve grand champ, and
Yep.
that's what they have.
That's another great point, man. I mean, I think that, for the listeners that are looking to get into this, or even just want to upgrade, their smoker in the backyard, it's easy to get caught up in all this, but go with what you know. Don't worry about everybody else. Focus, like you said, focus on honing your skills, your pitmaster skills, and let everything else work itself out. Because there's so many different smokers and grills and rubs and accessories, and it's just, I mean, it's a big rabbit hole that I didn't even know existed a year ago.
Yep. And the biggest advice I could probably give anyone getting into it is practice your your recipes before you do it at a competition. That's a mistake I kind of made my last competition. I forgot a seasoning and I kind of just winged it because I had no choice, and I kind of bombed it. So, my last at the Honeybee, I didn't do too hot, and it's because I did some unfamiliar things. I forgot some steps in the process, and it just, with two people, it is a very overwhelming task to do everything, because anyone with competition experience knows from 11:30 to pretty much after 1 for the backyard side. Like, it's just, once you finish one thing, it's right to the next. So it is stress, but it's fun stress. I kind of got into the idea of taking it too serious. After my second one, I was like, okay, I got to do the best I can. Which, that's the goal, is to win. But you also got to have fun. You can't take it all serious. You got to remember, at least for me, the whole point I got into it's because it's something I thoroughly enjoy. So I try to still make it fun.
That's right. I mean, like we said earlier, before we started recording, it's barbecue, right? So it's not that serious.
Yeah.
So if it's like you said, if it's getting to the point where it's just consuming you, then it's probably not going to be that much fun anymore, and you're probably not going to want to, continue to do it. So, all right. So we talked about the beginning of your journey, which started just 4 months ago. Where do you see yourself? So let's talk about transition, right? When do you feel like you're going to be in the position to make that transition from backyard to pro?
It's a tough question. It's because the only thing I see right now is definitely doing the backyard. I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I'm just taking it, competition by competition. I'm not sure. That's kind of a hard question being new into it.
Right.
Uh, I I think I'm just gonna kind of let it guide me where I see fit, and go from there. I'm still learning the ropes. I'm nowhere near pro level. I don't think. It's I guess if I get to a point to where I feel too comfortable,
Right.
is when I would probably make that transition.
I was hoping you'd say something like that, and you did, and that's exactly where I wanted to go with that question. For our listeners, there really isn't a timeline you can work out. There really isn't a set strategy. You really do have to go with your instinct, and as Tyler said, you got to go if you're feeling comfortable, if you're getting grand and reserve grand left and right, then you need to be honest with yourself and say, okay, well maybe I need to go ahead and jump into the bigger pond.
Mm-hmm.
So chicken, let's camp out on chicken for a second, because you said earlier that was one of your favorite things to cook. And I'm not talking about competition chicken. I'm talking about in the backyard, at home, on the weekend, cooking for friends, cooking for family, chicken quarters, drumsticks, whatever it is whatever your thing is. Curious, do you have an at-home go-to recipe for chicken that you'd be willing to share?
See, now this is where people are going to make fun of me. I'm just salt and pepper all the way for me.
Hey, whatever works.
Kosher salt and coarse black pepper. I just keep it simple. That's what I really grew to love early on, is Texas style barbecue, and that's for me. If I'm cooking for me, and I kind of got most of family and friends on the bandwagon. My wife, not so much. She doesn't like the black pepper, so I kind of got to change up a little bit with her. But just good at home barbecue for me is just salt and pepper on everything. Whether it's ribs, pork, chicken, turkey, that's my go-to for me. I just keep it simple. I like the smoke flavor that using that basic seasoning lets soak up into the meat.
Right.
And I guess for if I'm cooking for I guess groups of people that I may not know, man, you can't go wrong with some of these commercial seasonings. I'm a big fan of Hickory's. I like a lot of seasonings. That's actually some of the stuff I use in competition is Hickory's. I've had pretty good success with it. You can't go wrong with Meat Church.
Right.
Those two are probably my more go-to as far as cooking at home. Is you can and how to barbecue right. Malcolm Reed seasonings. Those three right there, you can't go wrong with. They're all solid seasonings, and they pair good with almost any meat.
Keep it simple, stupid, right? KISS. Keep it simple. So at home when you're cooking chicken, are you doing chicken quarters? Are you doing thighs? Are you doing drumsticks? What are you doing?
So I love leg quarters. That's one of my go-tos, especially take the work throughout the week, and leg quarters and legs.
Yep. So now, are you leaving the skin on at home, or how are you doing that? How are you keeping that skin? Do you want the skin crispy? I'm curious how it turns out at the house with the salt and pepper.
So I'm all the way skin on. I just do some basic trimming, to get some fat off. I go ahead and chop off the end of the bone on my leg quarters. I just do basic trimming, make sure there's no loose ends of the skin. And for me, on chicken, I like to cook mine around 300 to 325. Of course, depending on the style of smoker, may have to adjust that. But for my smoker, I cook 300 to 325, and I actually use spray butter after about an hour, and I'll spray it about every 30 minutes with some spray butter, and it really helps crisp up the skin for me, at least. And that's, it's just like you said, keep it simple. And I just go off a temp. I'll pull my chicken off around 160 and let it rest, and it'll carry over the rest.
Now, are you using, I see a lot of guys, and we've got a RecTech 700 that we use for chicken. Are you using that 590 for your chicken?
I am.
Yeah. Seems like a popular thing. I've noticed a lot of guys on the pro circuit using the 590 or the 700 or even the new one, the 1070 for chicken. That seems to be a theme that I keep hearing over and over again. So that means then you're using the big Bubba Grills offset stick burner. You're using that for your butts and your ribs.
Yep, butts and ribs. And like I said, I kind of got that acorn to do some trials with.
Sure.
My last competition, I did my butts and money muscle on the acorn on one of my butts, just kind of trial, and it turned out really well. So I may be using that more in my arsenal, but kind of also just got it to carry around to cook at the competition for, dinner or whatever.
That's right. Now, what's your smoking wood of choice? Are you, pecan, cherry, hickory? I mean, what's your go-to?
My go-to would definitely be hickory, but unfortunately, sometimes that's hard to come by. So pecan is definitely my second.
Yeah.
And I use cherry every now and then if it's available.
Yeah, cherry can be difficult to find naturally, around here. I know you could obviously go to the store and buy the bags of it, but
for competition, I've noticed, at least for me, I've tried getting seasoned wood locally, and I haven't had much success with getting good wood that actually burns clean. A lot of time it still has moisture in it, or it just isn't fully seasoned to my liking. So my go-to for competition for guaranteed clean smoking wood is the B&B bags at Academy. Yeah. I just go and get those kiln dried wood, and I've had really good success with those.
Yeah, those are great, and I just love the pecan. Just has it's got a good balance of got that sweet, but it's also got a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It's got a robust flavor to it, I guess is probably the best word. It's just a good all around wood. I think you could smoke just about anything with it. And I've talked to several pitmasters in the pro division, and that's all they use is pecan. That's it. Whereas in our area, so where we are in the Augusta, Georgia area, I'm on the South Carolina side. Most of the restaurants around here, the barbecue places, they're using hickory. It's pretty much almost 100% hickory.
Yeah. Hickory definitely is that in your face, on your taste buds, instant, it's theirs type of smoke. And the pecan, like you said, it's well balanced. So you still get a good bit of the, flavor from the seasonings, the sauce, and, it's present. The smoke is present, but it's not overwhelming.
That's exactly right. So, for our listeners, take some time as we're winding down the show, but take some time, connect with Tyler on social media, Redbeard's Barbecue. So Tyler, you're on Facebook. Are you on Instagram as well?
My main social media is just Facebook right now.
Sure.
I've got an Instagram, but I don't really use it.
Sure. So check him out, give him a follow, reach out to him. You can tell just from, our episode, he's willing to share what he does know and willing to learn too. So yeah, check him out on Facebook, Follow him on Instagram. We'll get that Instagram profile up for you a little bit. Any parting words of wisdom from you, Tyler, as we wind down? Just anything really, anything barbecue related that you can think of that could be some great advice for those out there that are looking to get into this or just simply looking to sharpen their skills.
Yeah. My best advice for anyone looking to get into it is don't be intimidated. And, even if you don't want to do a sanctioned event, look for unsanctioned events. Those are really great and to get into. And it's going to be more, like-minded people that aren't fully into it. And for those who are into the competitions already, those are great practice events to get events under your belt to practice new recipes. And if for me, like the GBC has points race, so it wouldn't affect your overall points.
That's exactly right. Well, that's some powerful stuff, powerful way to end the show. And Tyler, we appreciate the time and the insight that you've given us. Again, for our listeners, take some time, follow them, Facebook, Instagram, Redbeard's Barbecue. Also, drop us a review for the podcast and share this episode with some friends. Tyler, thanks again, man. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.